And 40 families in Benque Viejo. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Smart introduces Real Unlimited postpaid plans, providing customers with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data. Now that's a real great deal. With Smart Plus.
Welcome back to Benny's in 60. With Christmas around the corner, now is the perfect time to shop for appliances.
And we know you want nothing but the best. That's why at Benny's, we're having a GE appliance sale in November, where you will get 19 to 25% off all GE appliances.
Also, get limited edition Benny's GE Silver Dollars with the purchase of any GE appliance.
Which means you get a chance to win a trip for two to Universal Orlando Resort. Prize includes round-trip tickets, hotel accommodations, and yes, passes to enter the Universal Orlando theme park. Drawing date is December 31st. See our Facebook page for more details.
November is the month to remember. Get your GE appliances for up to 19 to 25% off.
And your silver dollars to win the magical adventure at Universal Orlando Resort only at Benny's.
Benny's in 60 seconds.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, November 4th. I am Marlene Cuellar. The man who wants to replace Dean Barrow as leader for the UDP and ultimately as Prime Minister launched his bid on Sunday. John Saldivar from Belmopan bussed in supporters to the Civic Centre on Sunday to show his muscle. Saldivar says he can count on the support of more than 20 standard bearers and the majority of delegates to beat Deputy Prime Minister Patrick Faber. In Faber's backyard here in Belize City, 4 standard bearers have come out for Saldivar. The Prime Minister's son, Shine Barrow, and now Sister B from Queen Square, Philip Willoughby from the Port, and Diane Finnegan from Lake Eye. Now, the convention is months away in February 2020, and a lot can happen. So can Saldivar defeat Faber? Here is News 5's Hippolyta Novello.
The way forward, John Saldivar on Sunday amassed thousands of party supporters at a Civic in Belize City, where he officially launched his campaign to lead the ruling United Democratic Party. Saldivar's goal is to defeat opponent Patrick Faber on February 9th and ultimately become Prime Minister when Dean Barrow steps down in 2020.
Let the event today be the clear and resonant voice of our United Democratic Party all the way to the next general elections. We can take back Belize City. We can take back Corozal Town. We can even take back Orange Rock Town from the current leader of the People's United Party. To continue to win, we must make plain our intentions to choose wisely for the Belizean people. We can continue to win with the right leadership. Leaders who build consensus. Leaders who bring people together like today.
Team Saldivars comprise of Hugo Pat and Beverly Williams, who are running for the post of First Deputy Leader and Second Deputy Leader respectively. Belmopan Mayor Khalid Belail is seeking to replace Chairman Alberto Agas under Saldivar's banner. Attorney General Michael Perafit is also running for the post.
This is not about any one person. This is about electing a team that will best represent the interests of the United Democratic Party. It is also about electing a team that is best able to govern this jewel of ours and continue the trajectory upon which our great leader has catapulted this nation.
Ultimately, John has the support of the vast majority of his colleagues because we believe that he is the right man for the job. We believe, and I certainly believe, that he will get things done and get them done well. His economic background affords him the ability to make logical and appropriate decisions that will be in the best interest of all Belizeans.
Those of you who have spent time around him have probably had occasion to see him sitting in a chair with one leg bouncing and a distant gaze on his face. No, the man never nervous, or as we say in a Creole, he never got chiggers. I assure you, that it was in these moments that he is deepest in thought, trying to peer around the next corner and plotting the way forward regarding the issue at hand.
Exuding confidence, Saldivar reportedly enjoys the support of 22 UDP standard bearers and several members of the Central Executive and City and Town Councillors. His supporters include Pablo Marin, Edmond Castro, Denny Grijalva, Erin Contreras, Rene Montero and Dr. Angel Campos, Philip Willoughby, John August, Sister B and Gaspar Vega, who has re-emerged and is seen as a crucial player in Saldivar's camp. Saldivar's confidence grew at the sight of Mesopotamia Area Representative Michael Finnegan, who joined the team on stage.
I'm very humbled by the fact that the second longest serving member of this party, beside only the Prime Minister, has come out publicly now to show his support for me. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my campaign. It will give a good boost to my campaign, and I believe that it's a harbinger of things to come.
No one is entitled to be the leader of the UDP. No one has the right to succession. The next leader of the UDP has to have humility and has to work arduously to build the trust and confidence of the majority of us. The next leader of the UDP must be on the ground, in the trenches, shoulder to shoulder with our soldiers and our generals, working hand in hand, not head in the clouds, foolishly convinced of some entitlement to lead as if ordained by some divine decree that ignores the majority of the United Democratic Party. Team Saldivar is not about one person. It is about all of us. We all have a voice. We all have a say. This is the type of leadership that we need to continue the progress. Inclusive, balanced, and just, not malicious, vindictive, and victimizing and petty. Today, the soul of the UDP is at stake. We cannot afford to squander the unprecedented gains.
And so this country yearns for a unifier. This country cannot deal with nobody who is petty and vindictive and personal and all of that. We need somebody, we need some energy to unify not only the sweetness of our party and the love that we have, but the entire country. And so without the shadow of a doubt, I tell John, you know where I stand for, because I say where I want. I get in a trouble for say where I want. But we, at this point in time in this country, we need somebody who can lead with that energy, with that spiritual vibes to connect us.
I feel very good. We have put in our work and I have the support of many of my colleagues, and this is the production. This is what happens when you have a majority of your colleagues with you.
Undoubtedly, the crowd on Sunday was larger than Faber's crowd, but it's all symbolic really. The decision to choose the next leader will follow 560 persons. Saldivar is confident that more than 300 would vote for him.
It's a little bit premature to do the numbers, but I can imagine that with 22 constituency leaders giving their commitment to Team Saldivar, that's around where we might be. We can add a few more from the councils and the town boards around the country, but it looks pretty good at this point.
Is Patrick Faber's only hope to run a guerrilla campaign to snipe off the delegates?
Well, that might be his only hope, but I'm not too sure that will work this time around.
In 2016, Saldivar was defeated by Faber for the post of first deputy leader. So what's the difference this time around?
All I can say is the last time it was about the deputy leadership, this time it's about the leadership.
Reporting for News 5, Hipólito Novello.
The next leader of the United Democratic Party will be chosen by 560 delegates. Of that figure, 496 delegates are chosen from all 31 constituencies. The remaining voters are comprised of UDP municipal members and members of the party's central executive, against Belmopan Area Representative John Saldivar says he enjoys the support of 23 UDP standard bearers, including Gaspar Vega, who re-emerged to show his support for Saldivar on Sunday. and that of Michael Finnegan, whose grand entrance was very much welcomed by the Saldivar camp. The UDP's list of delegates has yet to be released, but constituency leaders have until the end of the year to submit names.
We know that the D in the UDP is not necessarily for democracy without a guided element.
Some of the constituencies have already released their delegate lists, and so we are certainly contacting them. Remember that we also have 32 delegates from the tongue boards, 32 or 31. We also have another 21 or so from the central executive who we already know, and so we can already begin to target those. And of course, if you're close to the constituencies, as I am with their leaders, I'm sure that I have a good idea of who will be the delegates going into February.
The Prime Minister's son and his sister/successor are here. Is that implicit? Can we then conclude that the Prime Minister supports them?
I think you have asked him that question already, and he has answered it, that he has decided who will be voting for, but that he will not make it public. So I will not attempt to do so today.
With this showing, would you say that Faber is done for in terms of the leadership bid?
But Minister Faber is a formidable opponent. We certainly cannot take our eyes off of him. He brings good qualities to this party, is equally deserving as myself to be the leader of this party. And so it will be left up to the delegates. We are both out there campaigning for the next 3 months, and we'll see what the result will be. But I'm very encouraged by today's outcome.
You have Gaspar Vega on your flyer of the 21. Is he coming back as a standard bearer for the next election?
That is not what that is saying. That is saying that he, as an area representative and the person controlling the Orange Walk North constituency, is on my team.
Talk to us about division whenever all this is done, February 9, 2020.
No, I don't expect that there will be. I mean, maybe the minimal level of fallout. Honorable Faber and myself have been friends for at least 2 decades now. And while it's a healthy contest, somebody has to win. And when we're done, we pick up the pieces and lead our party to victory in 2020.
John Saldivar has had his share of controversies as well as allegations made against him, the latest coming out from the Mason murder trial. Mason, along with Ashton Venegas, Kieran Fernandez, Terrence Fernandez, and Ernest Castillo, stood trial for the murder of Pastor Llewellyn Lucas and is waiting for the verdict of Supreme Court Justice Antoinette Moore. At the end of the trial, a bombshell allegation against Saldivar was placed on the court's record. According to a statement from a U.S. special agent, Mason, whose real name is Rajesh Ulet, alleged that the Minister of National Security was attempting to frame him. It is yet to see how this piece of allegation will play out against Saldivar and his political future, but Saldivar believes in the fairness of the Belizean public.
I think that narrative has already been done and spent. The entire trial took place, except for a very last moment hearsay that mentioned my name. Absolutely no evidence was brought out in trial against me, and that's where I stand. There is nothing more to say on that issue. The Belizean people have spoken and will speak, because I don't think that in any country or any democracy you can be guilty of something that someone that you know has done, some crime that he has done. So I know the Belizean people are very fair, and that is what they have been, including my colleagues who have been very fair about this issue.
But ultimately, it is not the delegates who will decide the next general election. It's the population at large. And like it or not, sir, there is smoke around your name.
Any way you turn it, when you look at an accusation that has been made against me and you compare that to the many accusations and the record of many in the People's United Party, I think you will find that the Belizean people will prefer my leadership, will prefer my party, the UDP, over that PUP bunch anytime.
A father of one, Aaron Baptist, was gunned down inside a music studio early on Sunday night in Borough-Boom. Another person was inside the building, but the spray of bullets hit Baptist, killing him immediately. Baptist is well known in the village, but the motive for his murder is not, and it is under investigation. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
Just before 8 o'clock on Sunday night, a man was shot and killed inside a house in Borrelboom village. Aaron Baptist was inside this bungalow house off the main road where he would frequent to record music. He was there along with another person when a gunman approached the house and opened fire, hitting Baptist multiple times to the back.
Police were called to the home of one Lindell Williams in the Borrelboom village, where upon arrival they observed the motionless body of a male person later identified as Aaron Baptist, 27 years, of a Borrelboom village address with apparent gunshot injuries, lying on the floor motionless and apparently dead. What the police know so far is that Williams along with Baptist were inside the building listening to music when someone entered from the back of the building and apparently just pushed his hand through some hole in the door and fired several shots, resulting in the fatal injury to Aaron Baptist.
Family members say that scenes of crime personnel arrived hours after and that the body of their loved one was removed sometime after 1 a.m., almost 5 hours after the shooting. The 27-year-old father of one was recently elected in June of this year as a village councillor. According to his family, he lived a humble life and had beef with no one. So do police have a motive for this homicide?
At this point in time, no, we don't.
Is there any, to indicate if there's any maybe sort of beef boiling in that community, anything at all of that nature?
Well, as far as we know, no, because there was no incident of this nature prior to the shooting last night.
As to the other person inside the house at the time of the shooting, he escaped unscathed.
At this time, are we able to say whether Baptist was the intended target or that other person?
At this point, no, we do not know, because he too had to have taken cover during the shootings.
A post-mortem on the body of Baptist concludes that he died as a result of traumatic asphyxiation due to trachea injuries from gunshot wounds. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Within hours of the murder of Aaron Baptist, shots rang out once again in Borrelboom, adjacent to where Baptist lived in the village. Kyle Pinkard was shot and is in a stable condition at the KHMH. Pinkard was inside his house when someone came knocking. He refused to open the door, and that person then opened fire at the house. One of the bullets caught Pinkard, and he was rushed to the hospital for medical treatment. While residents believe that the shooting was retaliatory, police would not confirm if the recent gun violence is as a result of a drug war in the village.
Shortly after 11:30 p.m., the police had to return to Borrelboom village to the home of one Kyle Pinkard, where our police learned that he was injured by a bullet to the body. What we know is that sometime after 11:30 or thereabouts, someone went to his home and knocked on the door, and as a result of him refusing to open the door, the person shouted certain comments and then fired several shots in the building, one of which caught him.
Is there any connection between Baptist's murder and Mr. Pinkard's shooting?
At this point in time, we are looking at certain information, but this will not be divulged as it is a part of the investigation.
So does Pinkard have any idea who shot him?
At this point, no.
The comments that were uttered, is that helpful any at all to police in terms of helping to identify the shooter?
It could have been. So we are following that. Officers are on the scene still at this point in time, following up on those information.
2 days after his shooting, Belize City resident Adam Joseph succumbed at the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital. He is the second person to lose his life over the weekend to gun violence. Joseph was riding his bicycle on Central American Boulevard when a gunman took aim at him on Halloween night. There is reason to believe that gang involvement may have led to his demise. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
25-year-old Adam Joseph passed away over the weekend after being shot on Halloween night in Belize City. Joseph, according to police, was riding a bicycle along Central American Boulevard in the direction of Belcan Bridge when a lone gunman fired on him on Thursday night.
Thursday night, sometime around 9 p.m., police were called to the Central American Boulevard area near the Belcan Bridge, where upon arrival they observed a dark complexioned male person later identified as Adam Joseph, 25 years, on the ground. What the police know is that Joseph was riding his bike towards the direction of the Belcan Bridge when he was approached by a dark complexioned male person who fired a single shot which caught him somewhere towards the back of his head.
Joseph was immediately rushed to the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, where he remained in stable condition. However, things took a turn for the worse over the weekend.
On the 2nd of November, whilst undergoing treatment, he succumbed to those injuries. The police is following several leads in respect to this investigation at this point.
One of those leads may be an alleged gang involvement. We are told that Joseph may have been tied to one of the rival groups in the vicinity of where the deadly attack took place on Thursday night.
You don't have any idea what may have led to
At this point in time, no. We are looking at several leads.
Is Joseph not police?
Yes, he is.
Joseph had been charged on a previous occasion for armed robbery. In speaking with his grieving mother, she admitted to not knowing what led to her son's murder, but did not shy away from his criminal past. Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
Earlier today, Belize police were called out to the Benke Free Zone, where reports say that a protest was taking place. 3 police vehicles with one carrying riot gears arrived on scene sometime after 2 this afternoon, but shortly after things got tense, it died down. We were told that a vehicle had blocked the entrance in front of the gate. The issue, we were told, was because of an increase in fees instituted by the board of the Free Zone. Persons on the scene told us that the protesters were up in arms because of additional fees imposed on cigarettes. When we attempted to cross the border, personnel told us that no one was allowed to have access to the Free Zone area because it was closed off. Just before 2:30, we called the office at the Free Zone and were told that no one was available to speak because they were all in a meeting. Coming up, while one man dies in a hit and run, Alfonso Noble is fined for a fatal accident. There was a hit and run on Sunday night in San Jose Village in Orange Walk. It left a 40-year-old construction worker dead on the George Price Highway. Jose Antonio Sanker had just concluded a birthday celebration with his family and was riding his bicycle when he was knocked down. The driver of the vehicle did not stop to help the injured Sanker, who died on the scene. He had just moved back to the village from San Pedro. Dalila Ikal and News 5's Dwayne Moody worked on this report.
The Sanker family was winding down on Sunday night in San Jose Orange Walk when tragedy struck. 40-year-old Jose Antonio Sanker spent his final moments celebrating his nephew's birthday, having dinner at his sister's home, followed by a short visit with one of his brothers. His older sister preferred to speak off camera.
Estaba con mi sobrino, que era su cumpleaños de mi sobrino, pues llegó a la casa. Estaba medio tomado, no muy tomado, estaba medio tomado y llegó a la casa y un poco de comida le regalaron. Y llegó a la casa y me dice, Mar, me dice, ¿tienes harina? Le dije, no, le dije, solo arroz, rice and beans. Pues dame un poco, me dice, le saqué su plato de arroz y se sentó a comer. Pues yo me metí a bañar, cuando yo acabé de bañar, él había acabado de comer y salió y se vino acá con mi hermanito. Y ya dice mi hermanito que él se bañó y después se fueron a sentar un rato en el pozo, donde siempre se sientan los otros muchachos. Después agarró bike, dice, y que se iba acá por el Tomsa, gasolinera Tomsa, pues ahí lo chocaron. Esa cosa como 15 minutos, creo, cuando nos vieron avisar que ya lo chocaron. Y cuando fuimos a ver, nosotros llegamos ya estaba muerto ya.
Sanker was fatally hit between miles 62 and 63 on the Philip Wilson Highway, just a couple hundred yards away from home. The culprit fled the scene, but according to Sanker's sister, someone saw how it all happened.
El policía dijo que le habían dicho que es un Forerunner, color oscuro, con llantas anchas y estaba lleno de lodo el vehículo y había alguien que lo persiguió. Ya por bypass, pero por ahí se perdió, ya no miraron en el vehículo.
Sanker sustained severe head injuries and is believed to have died instantly. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Police say that they need the public's help to solve this fatal traffic accident that claimed the life of 40-year-old Sanker. Today, police shared the official details about the accident that killed Sanker. ACP Joseph Maivid tells us more.
A Hispanic male person was seen with injuries to his head and later identified as Jose Sanker, 40 years, laborer of San Jose Village. He was motionless and apparently dead. Also within the area, the police discovered a black beach cruiser bicycle with its rear wheel extensively damaged. What the police know so far is that the deceased was heading in the direction of Orange Walk when he apparently was knocked down from behind it by a dark in color rodeo, which did not stop. As a result, the scene was processed and the body was transported to the Northern Regional Hospital where it was pronounced dead. In that regard, the police is seeking the public's assistance in locating this dark in color rodeo which was involved in the fatal road traffic accident.
Alfonso Noble, the editor of Guardian newspaper, today appeared in the Supreme courtroom of Justice Colin Williams and pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of causing death by careless conduct in the traffic accident that claimed the life of Gilbert Myers Jr. Noble was initially indicted in 2016 for manslaughter by negligence, but after the prosecution proceeded with the lesser charge, he opted to plead guilty and was spared jail time. In court, Noble took the stand and expressed his remorse for causing the death of Myers Jr. Justice Williams then imposed a non-custodial sentence and Noble was ordered to pay $3,000. He has 9 months to do so or in default will spend 9 months in prison. After the decision was handed down, the media got Noble's reaction to the judgment. He also apologized to Myers' family.
On advice and having considered the matter very carefully, I had decided to enter a guilty plea to driving without due care and attention, causing death by careless conduct, as we say. It has been almost 3 years since this incident happened on the 24th of December 2016. It has been a source of great consternation for me. And I could imagine, I can only begin to imagine what it has been like for the family, living without their primary breadwinner. I am truly sorry for what happened on that night. If I could take it back, I would. Unfortunately, I'm unable to, and I am going to have to live with this for the rest of my life. And it's something that it's simply terrible. It's a terrible incident.
When you spoke about the compensation,
I'd rather not speak about the compensation, because there is no amount of compensation that anyone can give anybody for a death. That is the long and short of it. I will not speak about the quantum. You guys have the information and you do whatever you want with as you please.
Can you give us your reaction to the judgment that was handed down to you today?
I have never been in this kind of situation before. There was no expectation of me. I simply said I am guilty of having knocked down and killed this man by having not been careful enough on the road. Of course, circumstances given, for me, it was unavoidable.
The accident occurred on Christmas Eve of 2016 as Noble drove his pickup truck on the George Price Highway heading home. There were allegations that he was under the influence when the accident occurred. Noble knocked down and killed Myers Jr. between miles 3 and 4. Myers Jr. was riding his bicycle traveling in the same direction. Noble has since compensated the family with a payment of $129,000. Today, Noble broke his silence on what really happened on the night of December 24, 2016.
It was Christmas Eve. It was raining and it was very dark. That section between miles 3 and 4 on the George Price Highway is a problematic area. It has seen multiple accidents, multiple instances of people losing their lives in that area, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed post haste. Under raining conditions, dark at night, the gentleman was riding a bicycle, black shirt, black pants, and he's of very dark complexion as well. What can I say? An accident waiting to happen. It happened, and it happened to me, unfortunately. It is something that needs to be borne by all drivers who find themselves in this situation whereby they are met with circumstances beyond their control. It's unavoidable, and it happens. It has happened on multiple occasions, and unfortunately it will continue to happen because simply we are not equipped, our roadways don't have the necessary fixtures to ensure that there is safety, in particular for drivers and pedestrians, to be on a lane for themselves, to ensure that they are not victims of this type of thing. Again, I simply would want to express my condolences and my deepest regret to the family members, to those people who have been wronged by them having lost their loved one. It is something that I will continue to live with for the rest of my life.
Noble was represented by attorney Herbert Panton, while Crown Counsel Reese Cattouse represented the Crown. Aspinall Welch is wheelchair-bound. Paralyzed after being shot 3 years ago, has led to a gradual deterioration of his physical health, and despite doctors pronouncing his condition dire, he remains incarcerated at the Belize Central Prison. Welch is suffering a severe case of bedsore, a wound on his buttocks that has literally eaten its way down to the bone. Notwithstanding the excruciating pain he has had to endure, Welch is doing time for attempted murder following a charge which stemmed from the thwarted attempt at holding up a patron at Ditt's restaurant in November 2012. Today, Welch's common-law wife, Tanisha Plunkett, shared her frustration, having made several attempts to secure bail for him.
Aspinall has a case that he was charged for attempted murder. November this month will make 7 years that this case has been going on. Not a witness has spoken, just adjournment, adjournment, adjournment. On September 17th, he went to court late. So Miss Williams, Marlene Williams, she remanded him to the Hattieville prison until the 30th of September. He came back down on the 30th. She remanded him back until the 2nd of December for a trial. Remember, this case, they adjourned for almost 7 years. Trial set every time I know happened. When he came to court on the 30th, he had an issue. He has in a suprapubic catheter, right? The catheter was blocked up. He explained this to her, asked her for to allow them to take him to the hospital to change it. She didn't even answer. Left him there. This was like before 10 o'clock. Sent him downstairs to the cell block to be locked up until like 3 or 4 when they took him to Hattieville. I went there, took medication and lunch. He was crying in pain. I asked the police that was there if they can help him, take him to the hospital. I told him no human being deserves to be treated this way. I saw what part of me feel away, but they couldn't assist. They said, Miss, our hands are tied. If she not allow it, we can't.
In describing Welch's situation, his common-law wife explained that she reached out to Colby's CEO, Virgilio Murillo, after having received a medical certificate from a doctor at the KHMH. When she reportedly turned to the court for consideration of the matter, she was referred to Murillo at the Belize Central Prison. She continued by telling us that the condition is fairly recent.
So now the next thing we have is he have a bed sore. He never have it before he left, but he have it now. A really, really, really bad bed sore. They bring him down last week Monday to call Hushna. That when I say the bed sore is sunny. And I don't want to show the picture because it look really, really bad. We made a call the jail more than once. When he tell we about it, we call and we ask the doctor in charge. But he make we believe that there nothing serious and that he get attended to. When nothing like that never true. Because when he got in his cell the Monday and he see it, he himself said that when he see it, he automatically had to rush along the Belize hospital. So if you made attend to it, how you never know it's so bad? Right? How you never know it's so stinking at half of this man but almost on rotten way. So before that, we got a letter from Dr. Rogama where we took to Chief Justice Marlene Williams. She looked at me and tell me take it to the prison. I called Mr. Murillo. He said, Miss Plunkett, I have no control over that. My job, the only for hold the prisoner, is up to her for grant bail. It's sounded this man need help. Many times this man catheter get blocked up back there. He have to wait till morning because the doctor not there. Sometimes they don't want to give him attention. And they medic not trained to deal with my SP catheter. Because when we go to hospital, not even the nurse, they don't want to tend to it. They tell a plain what doctor have to tend to it, you understand? That not fair for one human in a pain for hours like that. So we want to make them either give grant and bail, make it come home. I can get the care we need.
Aspinall Welch is the older sibling of Inmar Welch, who was shot and killed on October 25th in Gales Point, Manatee. Police say that last week, Thursday, a joint team of cops, FIU, and Belize Tax Service personnel conducted a joint operation at a store called Almacen Shanty in Corozal Town. A search of the business led to the discovery of a large quantity of monies. Police say that included among the currencies were over 100,000 US dollars and 1.6 million pesos. Some of the monies were undeclared, and those were seized immediately by the Belize Tax Service. The remainder will be assessed and a determination will be made moving forward. Today, Commissioner of Police Chester Williams briefed the media on the operation. He says that the proprietors were operating a money exchange business without the valid permit and will be charged for that offense.
That search resulted in the discovery of different denominations of money. There was a 60,000 US currency, another 74,000 US currency, 181,000 Belize dollars, 1.6 million pesos, 350 Canadian dollars. There was, I think, 122,000 rupees, which is Indian currency, and a couple hundred quetzal. From the investigation conducted so far, it reveals that the proprietors of the store were engaged in the exchange of money, casa de cambio, without a permit. And so the income tax confiscated the 74,000 US as that was concealed, and they failed to declare it. In respect to the other amount of money, they will be charged for operating a casa de cambio without a permit. And then FIU will be dealing with the FIU related offenses. And so the monies are currently in custody of the police, pending the outcome of that investigation. But this is a part of our continued effort with other agencies, which include Customs, Immigration, and FIU, to go after those persons who we believe are involved in white-collar crime, evading taxes, and as well as looking at money laundering offenses. These operations are going to continue, as I said, with a view to see how we can target those persons as well as those who we believe are involved in the illegal landings of planes across the country.
Sir, what led to the search at that particular store? Was it a tip-off, or is this a store that you guys have been monitoring for a long time?
I've been monitoring, yes.
Has it been determined that all of those monies are from the illegal exchange service, or perhaps others may have come from other sources?
We're looking at that at this time.
Earlier in a newscast, we told you about Adam Joseph, who was shot on Halloween night. He lived for 4 days following that shooting, but died over the weekend. That same night, another man was shot less than an hour before Joseph. Fortunately for him, he survived that gun attack. ACP Joseph Maive tells us more about the shooting of Malik Acosta.
Sometime shortly after 8 p.m., police were called to an area of Lizarraga Avenue, where upon arrival they met and spoke with one Malik Acosta, 21 years, who reported to them that whilst in the company of others at a house on Lizarraga Avenue, a male person entered the yard and fired shots towards their direction, one of which caught him on his leg. He is in a stable condition. Police is investigating this matter. At this point in time, we do not have anyone detained in relation to the investigation, but we are following several information as well.
So was he the intended target?
I cannot say at this point in time whether or not he was the target, as there were others there.
Any idea if it's maybe gun related?
At this point, no. We are looking at several information. However, we will not be able to determine whether or not at this point in time that was the case.
After the break, flash floods affecting families in the West. A flash flood has displaced close to 50 families in the West. NEMO personnel have been called on the ground since early this morning to help affected families. Reporter Andrea Polanco tells us more about the flood and what NEMO is doing to help the victims.
This is what it looks like on the outskirts of Benque Viejo, many houses surrounded by muddy water. Many of the occupants are trying to pick up the pieces of what's left behind from an early morning flash flood. The rushing waters hit different neighborhoods in the Sacuts and Benque area early this morning. In this one spot near the free zone at the western border, almost 50 families have been affected. Single mom Marlene Chan shares more about the frightening ordeal. She lost just about everything inside her home and now has to find shelter with her relatives.
We almost lost everything because the water was heavy and it burst through the doors, through the windows. I was alone with my daughter, but we had a horrible experience last night. My mother was not here, but her house was full. Well, my washing machine was right here but nothing is good anymore, and we still cannot go in the house because everything, for what? There's no good things in there.
Talk to us about that experience. How frightening was that for you?
Oh, well, for me it was horrible because it was only me and my small daughter. My daughter is only 5.
Did you fear that maybe you guys can die in there?
Yes, because it was way up and we couldn't come out of the house, but well, we still make it. So, because we even called the police and the police never arrived. Nobody.
How did you guys manage to get out?
Oh, well, my uncle was there for us, so we managed to get out with him. He take out my daughter, and then that's the way we came out.
How do you pick up the pieces and continue on? I mean, what do you do?
I don't even want to go into my house now because we went before the flood was down and nothing is good. Everything is full of water, so my daughter can't even went to school today. There's nothing good in the house.
You guys staying? Do you guys have a plan right now?
Well, we are at my grandma's house, which was flooded too. We really don't have anywhere to go. We're just waiting to see what we are going to plan to do because we really don't know. Well, I'm a single mom, so I don't know sure what I'm going to do.
Approximately 250 to 300 persons are affected. The water either washed away or destroyed their property inside their houses. Raul Shish has been living in this area for less than a year. He escaped the rushing waters in only shorts. His plants and building materials are all gone in the flood.
We had a heavy rain last night, And then in the morning, about 1 o'clock, it was a surprise, 3 o'clock, the water came into my house, where I'm living, And I have a lot of plants, tangerines, soursop, chico zapote, leches, coconuts, about 275 plants. It washed it away, I lost my table, my chairs.
So the water came rushing down?
Yes, it coming and washing everything.
Burst through the doors, everything?
Yes. There's a hill and it came down, big current, And that was it. And
So
up to now,
everything in the house?
Yes, everything. And up to now, since 3 o'clock, I haven't slept anything. It's a big lose, because I have been working for the past 8 months, I wanted to build a house, And my lumber, almost everything for a house, And my table, I just bought a table 2 weeks ago, and it washed it away. It went. So I lost, I would say approximately about maybe $13,000 to $14,000 in materials. I don't got nothing now.
Since the early hours of this morning, NEMO representatives have been on the ground to do assessments and provide help for the affected families. NEMO Minister Edmund Castro says that the steady rains brought the floodwaters down to this flood-prone area.
This part of the country has experienced approximately 4 hours plus of downpour, heavy downpour, and so from that caused problems for the residents in this area. But if you notice that some of the people who has been affected are people who are in a flood-prone areas where the water would rush down from the mountains and the path going down to the river. So I think we will have to look at some of those people that might definitely have to move from this area, because this definitely will happen again.
But this is not the first time this area has experienced flash floods. Residents told us that about 4 years ago they experienced similar conditions, but not of this magnitude. Area Representative Erwin Contreras was on the scene today, and he told us that he will have to explore a more permanent solution for some of these families.
I think that's the best thing to do, the relocation, because this is a natural creek. It is a pit that they constructed practically inside the creek, so we have to look at that plan. This creek actually goes maybe miles back, so all the water is not comes through this natural creek and flows into the Mopan River. But definitely we have to look at relocating them and see how we can help them, because if not, this will continue every time. And you know, with climatic change now, things are getting worse, so we have to do something for them for the long term, for the long haul.
For now, NEMO is still doing assessments to determine the extent of the damage caused by this flood. Families are also being assisted with care packages.
NEMO is assisting them with NEMO packages such as mattresses, food items, cleaning solution, and other material that we can help them with immediately.
In other parts of Benque Viejo, the waters covered the streets. In one church called Iglesia Calvaria, church members were chest deep in flood waters trying to save instruments and other items inside the church. The flash floods also caused damage to the Arenal Road, making it impassable earlier today. By early this afternoon, however, the Ministry of Works had already opened back the road. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
Police conducted a search at a home in Belmopan where they found over 50 pounds of weed. The search happened sometime after 8 on Saturday morning. ACP Joseph Maivet says both persons at the home have been arrested and charged.
Belmopan Police conducted a search at the home of one Charlene Nunes and Trevor Nunes on Blue Hole Street in Belmopan City. During the search, police discovered one large brown in color bag, which when opened contained 3 large parcels of suspected cannabis, which when weighed amounted to 23,570 grams. Both persons have since been arrested and charged for possession with intent to supply controlled drugs.
There was an armed robbery at Madison Furniture Store on Constitution Drive in Belmopan on Saturday evening. Police say that it happened just before 5 that evening. 2 armed men walked up to the store and entered where they robbed cell phones and other personal belongings. Police say that one of the men was shot by someone with a licensed weapon in the area. While police have recovered some of the items that were found discarded in another area in Belmopan, they haven't been able to track down the criminals. The man who was shot hasn't turned himself in for treatment at any of the medical facilities. ACP Joseph Maivet tells us more.
Reported to them by the sales clerk that shortly before 5 p.m., whilst herself and 2 other employees were inside the business, they were approached by 2 dark-complexioned male persons, one of whom was armed with a handgun, whilst the other person was armed with a knife. They were robbed of their personal belongings, and in the process, the male person with the firearm fired a shot, and someone who was in the area, who is the holder of a licensed firearm, fired towards those culprits, who then made with their escape by running on foot. Later on, the same evening, police were called to an area on Hallover Creek Street where some of the items stolen during the robbery were recovered, including a white t-shirt with a bullet hole and apparent blood stains was recovered from the scene as well. So far, all the medical facilities have been checked and no one fitting those descriptions had arrived at any of those institutions or facilities with any gunshot type injuries. We are investigating this matter and are following several leads.
The items stolen, are you able to share maybe the value or
Not the value. We know that several cell phones and identification card and other items were recovered.
Are these personal items from the persons working there?
Yes, they were.
Any cash?
No.
Is it believed that the persons who committed this crime are from here in the area, or maybe they're outsiders?
We do not know that. What we know though is that police was quick on the scene, and patrols in the area may have caused these guys to have gone in that area where the items were found.
Any surveillance video from the area to assist police?
We are looking at that as we speak.
So there is or should be criminal out there who's injured, was injured in that shooting?
Yes, we do believe so.
When we come back, judicial officers from the region conclude a conference in Belize.
We were born for all. The Mechanic and
to miss. come to the Bliss Center every Tuesday night at 8:30 and have a great time as this year's contestants compete for the grand prize of $10,000. There'll be lots of fabulous giveaways, and every Tuesday night, you get a chance to win $100 cash. That's right, Zetro International will give away $100 cash to one lucky audience member. The fun and excitement continue with Ozzy the Clown and musical entertainment by No Fair DJs. So make it out to the Bliss every Tuesday night at 8:30 and enjoy the music show everyone's talking about. Get your tickets at Channel 5 on Coney Drive, 88 Shopping Center, and Smart Office on Albert Street. KTV Latino Season 4, it's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
KTV Latino.
The 6th Biennial Conference of CAJO came to a successful conclusion on Saturday in Belize City. About 150 members of the judiciary from the wider Caribbean took part in the 3-day event. The Conference of the Caribbean Association of Judicial Officers Conference looked at a number of issues, including how to build public trust in the judicial system, as well as on the rights of indigenous people, environmental pollution, and the use of social media. News 5's Hippolyta Novello reports.
The 6th Biennial CAJO Conference concluded on Saturday in Belize City.
The conference has been an immense success. The judicial officers are very happy with the content, with their participation, and with the learning that has gone on in this conference. So we are extremely pleased.
Hosted under the theme Judicial Integrity, the Pathway to Public Trust and Confidence, the conference brought together professionals from the region who participated in approximately 20 sessions on key topics intended to better serve the public.
The focus is on the public. What is it that judicial officers need to do, need to learn how to do, that can create greater public trust and confidence in the administration of justice? Because that is something that we need to continue working on. Addressing public concerns, responding to public needs, and building public trust and confidence in judicial systems throughout the region.
How do judicial officers do that?
Well, education is one way. So, for example, we've had sessions on gender-sensitive adjudication. We've had sessions on vulnerable witnesses. We've had sessions on indigenous people. By education, we can inform and advise judicial officers about gaps in relation to the treatment of some of these groups in all of our societies. And what we hope is that through that educational process, they can return to the jurisdictions, share the information, and therefore be better able to meet the needs of the public.
As part of the conference, a new executive consisting of 14 members was appointed. Belize is represented by Senior Magistrate Patricia Arana.
Every 2 years we appoint an executive. That coincides with the conference. And this year we appointed a new executive. And our policy actually is to have representatives from the entire jurisdiction, which we have. We have appointed 11 people to meet the management committee constitutional requirements, but we've increased that to 14 people to make sure we have all jurisdictions covered. So the executive is represented by all jurisdictions, and that is the way when we plan and develop our programs, they become regionally relevant.
Topics discussed at the conference included the impact of artificial intelligence on the adjudication process and rights of indigenous persons. As a small island developing state, Belize faces similar opportunities and challenges like many of its Caribbean sister nations, which require cooperation in critical areas of jurisprudence and judicial practice.
We say, if you take away one thing that can change the way you relate to court users, to our citizens, that's success. Of course, we hope you take away more than one thing, but one thing alone that changes the way we treat our customers makes a difference, and we measure that as success. These kinds of educational conferences are important, and I would say personally, they are integral. So this is undoubtedly one of our most successful conferences. I think personally, in part, it has to do with Belize. I think that that's because the Belizean people have been so warm. I think they've been so welcoming, and that's something which, for us, we will always take away as a living memory of Belize.
Reporting for News 5, Hipólito Novello.
Coming up after the break, a steady number of refugees from Central America apply to regularize their status.
You, your family, your future.
Belize is traditionally known to open its doors to refugees, in particular those from Central American countries who come here seeking a better life. Some resettle for economic reasons and others arrive in Belize fleeing very difficult situations in their homeland. There continues to be a steady interest in Belize, and the United Nations High Commission has been working hand in hand with government in support of the refugee program. Over the weekend, UNHCR hosted a training session for local journalists to provide a better understanding on the status of refugees as well as their contributions. Hippolyta Novello files the following report.
Journalists on Saturday converged at the Biltmore in Belize City to participate in a one-day training session facilitated by the UN Refugee Agency. Senior consultant for UNHCR, Janice Marshall, focused on the international regional context and legal basis regarding asylum seekers and refugees.
Well, the purpose of the training really is to create more awareness amongst the community of journalists and media workers in Belize so that they have a deeper understanding of who it is that's coming to Belize, what are the characteristics of a refugee and why they are coming to Belize, and how the government determines to protect people in Belize. And the real purpose behind it, of course, is to create better public awareness about refugees and more sympathy for refugees, to do advocacy on behalf of refugees, because they are not a threat to the country. They, in fact, are great contributors members of the community.
28 persons have been granted refugee status, and the applications of more than 3,000 asylum seekers are being processed, awaiting the final approval of Immigration Minister Beverly Williams. The applications are submitted by citizens of neighboring countries such as El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala.
Well, I think there's been an increase in numbers since there have been more troubles and more displacement from the surrounding Central American countries. The numbers have increased, but there's not an increase this year, for instance, that I'm aware of. It's been fairly steady.
Once somebody is accepted as a refugee, what are the benefits or the services that the person has been provided? Like, it's like an identity or housing job?
Yes, well, you can find in the Belize Refugees Act, you can find their rights. They're entitled to a work permit. They're entitled to work or to start their own business. They're entitled to an identification card as a refugee. They are entitled to live in the country, and they are entitled to, go to school and do all the normal things that, as a person living in the country, you would need to do to have a normal life.
A section of this training focused on the usage of filmmaking to protect vulnerable persons and confidentiality issues. The topics, according to Marshall, are geared towards helping reporters identify protection issues that will enhance coverage of refugee issues on the local media.
Well, I think it helps them to understand that this is part of a much bigger international phenomenon that's going on right now, but also that they can understand the legal basis. And one thing that I think is very important and has been interesting to people is the difference between an ordinary, everyday migrant who comes for economic reasons or for family reasons or for medical treatment or for education, and a refugee who's a person who's had to flee their country and can't safely go home again. This difference is something that we're trying to promote greater understanding of. I hope that they go home understanding that there is in fact a legal basis for refugees, that not everyone who comes to Belize is a refugee, but those who are refugees get properly recognized, and that they would become advocates for promoting a better understanding amongst the general public of why refugees need our protection in Belize.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
On Friday morning, Belize City Police visited the home of Bruce Renault, where they conducted a search of the property. During the raid, they discovered 3 live rounds of ammunition, as well as a Taurus brand .38 revolver. Renault, as well as a female minor who was in his company, was detained pending investigation. Several hours later, while in police custody, Renault's residence went up in flames. Neighbors called the emergency hotline to report the house fire, and by the time officers responded to the call, they met personnel from the National Fire Service extinguishing the blaze.
A search conducted at the home of Bruce Renault on the 1st of November, sometime around 10 a.m. Police conducted a search at Bruce Renault's home on Iguana Street, where during the search they discovered a .38 revolver and 3 .38 rounds of ammunition. At the time, he was accompanied by a female minor. Both persons were arrested and escorted to the station, where they have since been charged. Later on the same 1st of November, sometime shortly after 6 p.m., police were again called to the said area and the residence of Bruce Renault, where they were informed that his residence was on fire. Upon their arrival, they did observe that his residence was on fire, and the fire department was also present. They building was partially destroyed by fire at that point in time. In relation to this, police are looking at several leads in relation to this investigation relating to the fire, since no one was at home at the time of the fire.
Up next, highlights of the weekend sporting activities with James Zatterley.
sport with a global perspective.
Sports Monday is brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection and the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. I'm James Satterley. Welcome to Sports Monday. The front runners in the PLB opening season locked horns for the final time in the 2019 regular season play Saturday inside the Isidoro Beaton Stadium, and it certainly was not as expected with CONCACAF League play on the line featuring the top two teams, Verdes FC and Bandit Sports. It's the home team looking to strike first when Carlos Uria centers into the danger zone, but Woodrow West in the Verdes goal reads and squashes the offensive push from the Bandit Sports. At the other end, Verdes picks Elroy Smith for this set piece on the left side of the Bandits goal. The ball bounces off the wall to Christian Lopez, and he fires this left foot from atop the 18 that beats goalkeeper Shane Orio, and Verdes leads 1-0 at the 12th minute. Verdes continues to dominate. Jerome James plays the give and go with Edwin Bernal, who is taken down by goalkeeper Orio, and the referee rightly rules penalty. Bernal sends Orio in the opposite direction of the ball. But wait a minute, there's an infraction as Mivit encroached inside the box and the penalty kick must be redone. A confident Bernal tries for the opposite side this time, but Shane Orio comes up with a big time save. 30 minutes in, Bernal picks out Triple J, Jerome Jaro James inside the box, and his excellent header bulges the back of the net for the 2-zip Verdes lead just like that. So we go to second half, and we're in the first minute of play. Ian Guinea fails to clear this ball because of the double team. Jordi Polanco comes up with the possession and tries to set up Jaro James, who is tackled as Shane Orio finds himself offline. Polanco gets the possession and he smashes it home to make it 3-0 in favor of Verdes. Georgie Welcome, he has the opportunity to put the Bandits Sport on the scoreboard with this contested header, but the ball veers off target. We must say hi King Roberts. He brought some offense to the Bandits. Here he works through heavy traffic to launch the right foot grounder at goal. The ball bounces off the goalkeeper, Woodrow West, to Marvin Budna, and he gets the Bandit Sports onto the scoreboard with his right foot. Perfect placement. It's now 3-1 in favor of Verdes. We'll just have to say the Bandits' defense simply wasn't firm today. Christian Lopez deals to Tremaine Harris, who beats two defenders to find an open Edwin Bernal, and he makes it a 4-1 final score at the 98th minute. Make that the 91st minute. In other results, San Pedro Pirates as journeymen crushed the BDF 3-1, Wagia FC pounded Placense Assassins 4-1, while Altitude FC eased past Valley Pride in a 4-2 ball game. Verdes now shows 30 points to top the league with one match remaining for each of the 8 teams involved. Bandit Sports has no fear of making the postseason with their 25 points. San Pedro Pirates are in third place with 22, while Altitude FC rounds out the top 4 with 21 points. Wagia FC with 18 points is the only team in position for an outside, capital O, outside chance to make the playoffs. Turning to the female under-15 inter-district championships, Belmopan took this title in a 2-0 affair at the Isidoro Beaton Stadium, facing Stan Creek. Keep your eyes on this corner kick. Stan Creek fails to clear, giving Alicia Cook 2 opportunities to open the scoreboard for the 1-0 Belmopan lead. Stan Creek ties the score when Khalidia Velasquez beats the keeper with this left foot launch. This sequence shows Belmopan firmly in control. The Stan Creek keeper fails to hold on to the center from off the right wing and had enough opportunities to clear the threat, but Aliyah Teo connects from long distance to find the far post for the bounce that gives Belmopan the title, and we say congratulations to the 2019 under-15 football champion. Roshani Narvaez of Belmopan emerged with MVP honors. Good show, girls. Meanwhile, in the Under-17 Championships, Elisa Coy converts this right foot launch for the only goal in this 1-0 affair, and the title belongs to Toledo. Thayane Matu of Corozal took home the MVP trophy. Again, congrats to all. Now let's check in on week 4 of the Women Amateur Tournament as Maya Hill Royals have come to face Guardians in a battle of 2 of the top teams in this league. As you can see, the MCC grounds is dry right now. Oh, here comes this tremendous downpour just before the set piece by the Guardians is being launched by Chanel Gentle. The goalkeeper, Janelle Smith, makes the stop, but the Guardians grab back that possession. Cynthia Salazar finds herself in the right place at the right time to open the scoreboard for the 1-0 Guardian lead. Maya Hill Royals were never inside the MCC grounds to roll over people. Daisy Pais takes up the challenge when she receives the pass, and this left foot displays the level of play as she beats Shireen Vasquez in goal to tie the score at 1 apiece at the 48th minute. Shanae Nasario looks to return the lead to the Guardians. While she does not score, she earns a penalty kick from the hand of Selena Ramos. Gianni Gomez gets the call and she makes it look easy as the Guardians go up to post the 2-1 victory. I want to tell you folks, I really was entertained by this ball game. The intensity to win was so palpable, I felt it. In other results, Joel Fury dished out a 7-1 mauling to Dangriga Warriors. Gladiators blanked Santa Elena Strikers 7-0. Altitude Chicks, they beat up on Stan Creek Jewels 3-1. Hey folks, that's our show for today. We invite you back same time, same place next week. Ja! Over all. I'm James Satterley.
Sports Monday was brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection and the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Your bank.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.